Hello, bankers. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome back. So, welcome to JIIB IE&IFS Prep. So, guys, in this particular session, we are going to discuss our unit number 44, which is all about para banking. Okay. So, this is the second last unit in your of your IE&IFS module D. So para banking and financial services provided by bank itself, right? So with the help of number of questions, MCQs, case studies, we are going to decode each and every important aspect of this particular unit as well, right? तो अगर आपने इससे पहले इसका कॉन्सेप्ट वीडियो नहीं भी देखा है तो भी आपका with this particular session itself I'm going to cover everything which is required from this particular one for your upcoming examination. ठीक है? So let's have a quick look. So para banking and financial services by bank. ठीक है? So basic introduction, type of para banking and financial services provided by bank, organization of para banking and financial services activities by bank. So para banking and financial services, this is the entire list. Okay. So now with the help of questions or MCQs, we are going to discuss these particular one and discuss in very detail, right? तो बहुत डिटेल में आपका इनको समझेंगे और इनसे रिलेटेड जो एस्पेक्ट्स हैं उनको आपका काफी डिटेल में आपका पढ़ने की कोशिश करेंगे. सो स्टार्ट करते हैं आपका विद वेरी फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन on your screen, guys. So, as per RBI Master Direction 2016, which of the following is not classified as para banking and financial services? So, it is all about the core banking, the traditional banking or the core banking thing, which is deposit and advances. They are not part of para banking services. Mutual fund, it is comes under the para banking and financial services. Equipment leasing and hire purchase, again under this. Cash deposit and withdrawal services, they are part of core banking services. Investment advisory services, again it is a part of para banking service. First question, very easy question. So para banking, which include services beyond routine transactions like deposit and withdrawals. Cash deposit and withdrawals services are part of core banking operation, are not categorized under the list of para banking. So with this particular question, we are going to discuss what is para banking, what comes, like what major services comes under this particular things with these references. Okay. So para banking and financial services activities refer to those activities carried out by bank which are not then normal day-to-day activities like deposit withdrawals or deposit and advances, even advances also. These services were earlier named as para banking services. RBI Master Circular 1st July 2015. Subsequently, RBI has come up with Master Direction 2016, wherein prudential regulations for investment by a bank in subsidiary or in financial services company. So now it is like most of the cases they are part of the bank subsidiaries, or it can be some agency business and others which are generally comes under this one. Okay? So not being subsidiary, that means financial services company or a non-financial service company have been provided. RBI in Master Direction 16 has further expanded the scope of these services by following activities. One is it can be investment advisory services, agency businesses by bank, or broking services for commodity trading segment. So these are the three core areas where we this para banking things are generally known as nowadays. ठीक है, तो जो para banking है वो किस नाम से होती है, इन तीन नाम से आपको देखने के लिए मिलेगी. So what services that generally comes under this financial services category. So activities of bank which come under the para banking and financial services as per RBI Master Circular 2015 and Master Direction 2016. Financial services provided by bank dated 2016. So and updated on this. So these are the services. ठीक है, तो जो जिनको हम पहले पैरा बैंकिंग फिर आपका फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड बाय बैंक. ठीक है, मास्टर डायरेक्शन 2016 एंड 2021 अपडेटेड वन और लेटेस्ट अमेंडमेंट. ठीक है, तो जिसमें आपका स्पॉन्सरिंग ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेट, equipment leasing and hire purchase business, factoring services, primary dealership, underwriting activities, जो मेजरली मर्चेंट बैंकिंग के अंदर आते हैं, ठीक है। म्यूचुअल फंड बिजनेसेस, इंश्योरेंस बिजनेसेस जो मोस्टली आपका एजेंसी के अंदर, इवन द पेंशन फंड मैनेजमेंट, ठीक है। इन्वेस्टमेंट एडवाइजरी, पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट सर्विसेज, एजेंसी बिजनेस बाय बैंक, रेफरल सर्विसेज, retailing of government securities, membership of SEBI approved stock exchanges, then आपका broking services for commodity derivative segment, bank investment in venture capital, ठीक है। So these are the services which are generally provided by bank nowadays in the name of financial services provided by bank itself, ठीक है, जो जिनको हम आपका पहले पैरा बैंकिंग के नाम से आपका जानते थे, ठीक है। अंडरस्टूड, दिस इज क्लियर, प्लीज डू रिमेंबर दिस पर्टिकुलर वन, दिस विल हेल्प यू आउट, ठीक है। सो जर्नल गाइडलाइंस about this para banking or financial services, ठीक है। So bank desirous of undertaking businesses permitted under section 6 subsection 1 of Banking Regulation Act 1949 may do so either departmentally, that means you can start your like जो आपका existing bank है, they can have a separate department to handle those particular activities, or the another one is through a separate subsidiary set up by the set up for the purpose under the provision of section 9 section 19 subsection 1 of BR Act 1949, ठीक है। An activity undertaking departmentally shall follow RBI guidelines on KYC compliances and Charter of Customer Rights issued. In addition, all instruction regulation of respective regulators, like if you are part of share broking, you have to follow the guidelines of SEBI. If you are part of insurance business, IRDA. If you are a part of pension business, so you have to follow the guidelines of PFRD as applicable, shall also be complied with. Master direction on prudential norms of banking exposures, where wherever applicable shall also be compiled with. Bank are also allowed to hold equity in both financial services companies as well as companies not engaged in financial services activities within the limit of specified under provision of section 19 subsection 2 of BR Act 1949, subject to a prudential limits and enumerated in the so this particular chapter itself. So again we will go through, like most of the cases it is आपका 10%, ठीक है। सो वन बाय वन, जैसे इफ विल टॉक अराउंड दी मर्चेंट बैंकिंग, तो कितना स्टेक हो सकते हैं, या इफ इट इज पार्ट ऑफ द एडवाइजरी सर्विसेज or the venture capital as a financial service which is provided by banks. So what can be the maximum or minimum limit of ownership that is owned by the bank, that we are going to discuss with our number of questions, ठीक है। तो ये एक थोड़ा सा बेसिक इंट्रोडक्शन अबाउट द पैरा बैंकिंग और द फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज which are generally provided by bank, ठीक है। Now you can expect like the probability from this particular one is again 1 marks question based on this particular topic. Most of the time if they'll ask this type of question, that will be for 1 marks downside, or it can be sometime for 2 marks, that depend on your examination level, okay? So the next question, which of the following statement regarding prudential regulation for bank investments are correct? So we have to find out the correct statement. A bank equity investment in subsidiary or a financial service company not being a subsidiary shall not exceed 10%, 100% true, of the bank paid up capital and reserve. Okay. Statement 1 is 100% true. Okay. The aggregate equity investment in factoring service subsidiaries and factoring companies shall not exceed, no, not 20%, it is again 10%, okay, of the bank paid up capital and reserve. Okay. So statement 2 is wrong. A bank not contribute more than 49% of equity of infrastructure debt funding NBFCs, 100% true. Bank are not allowed to hold more than 10% in equity of the deposit taking NBFCs other than housing finance company, again true. So 1, 3, 4 are true. Bank should not invest more than 15% of unit capital in REITs, real estate investment trust, or infrastructure investment trust, INVIT. Again it is 10%, not 15%. Okay. So a bank should not hold So that means option 5 is wrong. Okay. Bank should not hold more than 10% of paid up capital of common a company engaged in non-financial services 10% of the bank paid up this. This is again true. Okay. Seventh one is bank are not allowed to invest in category 3 alternative investment funds. This is also true. Okay. So yeah, that means 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay. So 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. Yes. Option A only is the right answer for this particular one. ठीक है. अब याद कैसे होगा? याद हो जाएगा. ठीक है. एक दो बार अगर आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे और इवन इन आर टॉपिक वाइज मॉक टेस्ट ऑल्सो आई विल बी इंक्लूडिंग दीज टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. ठीक है. तो वहां पे आप बार बार इनको प्रैक्टिस करेंगे तो उससे भी ये चीजें आपको याद हो जाएंगी. ठीक है. सो स्टेट टू स्टेटमेंट्स वर रॉन्ग. वन इज statement 2 was incorrect. ठीक है. It is 10% and it is very easy to remember this one. ठीक है. थोड़ा सा आपको याद करने में आसान भी हो जाएगा. सबका 10% ही है. 5-1 is आपका more than they cannot have invest more than 10%. ठीक है. Not 15% in this particular one. ठीक है. Subject to overall ceiling is 20% of the net worth in this particular case. ठीक है. So please do revise these particular guidelines again and again as much as you can. ठीक है. तो आपको ये हेल्प करेगा. अ बैंक मेक एन इन्वेस्टमेंट इन फाइनेंशियल सर्विस कंपनी अंडर हेल्ड फॉर ट्रेडिंग. ठीक है. HFT हेल्ड फॉर ट्रेडिंग कैटेगरी. In which case does it not require prior RBI approvals? So the a bank make an investment in financial service company under held for trading category. In which case does it not require prior approval from RBI? Investment is held minimum for no not 180 days, it is 90 days. ठीक है. So investment is disposed within 90 days. ठीक है. So option B only will be right answer for this particular one. ठीक है. So prior approval of RBI should not be required if investment in financial services companies are held under HFT category and are not held beyond 90 days. ठीक है. So if it is more than 90 days, in that case RBI approvals are must. ठीक है. तो अब इनको थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाते हैं. So bank are required to take prior approval of RBI. कहाँ पे? Before taking investment in subsidiary and financial service company that is not a subsidiary. However, in following cases such prior approval shall not be necessary. तो यहाँ पे आपका requirement नहीं होगा. Apart from this, it is required. कहाँ पे requirement नहीं होगा? The investment in company engaged in financial services. The bank has minimum prescribed capital, including capital conversion buffers, and also made a net profit in the immediately preceding financial year. The shareholding of the bank, including the proposed investment, is less than 10% of the investee company's paid up capital. The aggregate shareholding of bank along with shareholdings, if any, by the subsidiaries or joint ventures, and that is आपका less than 20%. If it may be explained that prior approval of RBI shall not be required if the investment in the financial services companies are held under HFT categories not more than आपका 90 days. So RBI approval is not required. As directed by RBI, prior permission of RBI are required to for making investment in non-financial services company if it exceed 10% of such investee company paid up share capital, where the investee company is engaged in non-financial services permitted for bank in term of section 6 of BR Act 1949. So if it is less than 10% or these are the condition, so RBI approval is not required. But if it going to exceed beyond that particular limit, so RBI approval is necessary in that case. Beside prior permission of RBI is also needed for before making investment of more than 10% of paid up capital or unit capital in category 1, category 2 alternative investment funds also. Okay. So these are some guidelines. So where it is not required and where it is required. So these are the situations. Okay. Chalo, next question, guys. Consider the following statement regarding the eligibility criteria for undertake primary dealership businesses. So if your bank is going to have some sort of primary dealership business as a service provider, so what are the eligibility criteria for that, so you can involve in this kind of business. ठीक है, तो primary dealership लेने के लिए क्या क्या eligibility criteria आपके होने चाहिए. A bank must have a minimum net owned fund of 500 crores. पहला गलत है, it is 1000 crores. ठीक है, 1000 crores. The bank must maintain minimum capital risk weight asset CRAR of 9%. This is true. ठीक है. The bank net non-performing asset must be less than 3%. True. And it should have profit making record for last. No, this is not 5 years, it is 3 years. ठीक है, तो हमें क्या पूछा गया आपका करेक्ट. सो ओनली स्टेटमेंट करेक्ट इज ऑप्शन 2. दीज 2 स्टेटमेंट्स आर इनकरेक्ट. ठीक है, तो आपका ओनली 2. अच्छा, only 2 is not the option. These options. अच्छा, okay, what which of the अच्छा, okay, it is not correct, sorry. हाँ, क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछा गया, these which of the following statement is incorrect. तो incorrect कौन सा है आपका 1 and 3. 1 and 3 means आपका option C will be right answer for this particular question. ठीक है, so option C will be right answer for this particular one. Understood? So this is the one. So structure of primary dealership business has been expanded to include bank PDs जिनको हम लोग आपका बोलते हैं. ठीक है, so like bank they can have two type of primary dealers. One is dealership, one is the subsidiary as a subsidiary model. Another one is bank PDs. ठीक है, so and bank fulfilling the following minimum eligibility criteria. One is minimum net owned funds 1000 crores, CRAR 9%. ठीक है, net मतलब it is minimum 9%. ठीक है, net non performing asset is not less आपका less than 3%. सॉरी. ठीक है, and आपका net NP is less than 3%. एंड प्रॉफिट मेकिंग फॉर लास्ट 3 years. ठीक है, यहाँ वहां पर क्या लिखा था आपका 5 years. ठीक है, so these are the guide. There was one question based on this particular one in your just previous year paper itself. ठीक है, so primary dealers businesses. ठीक है, so primary dealership business for undertaking primary dealership businesses through a subsidiary, a bank should be registered as NBFC as an NBFC with RBI. For undertaking primary dealer business departmentally, the bank is required to register with RBI for the same. ठीक है, so in both the cases, like what is like one is bank, as I told you, key bank they can run primary dealership in two ways. One is they can establish one subsidiary and they can register that particular one as a non-bank finance company. ठीक है, which will get registered under Companies Act. The another one is if they want to run it as a departments or the bank PD, it is generally known as. ठीक है, so in that case they have to take a certification from the RBI itself. A primary dealer is an RBI registered entity that authorized in buying and selling of government security. This we already know. ये हमने कहीं पे जो discuss किया था ना, primary dealership. I hope everybody knows this. They generally help. They mostly deal in money market or even it can be for the other securities also. So they generally help buying and selling of government securities. ठीक है, so we have standalone and we have bank primary dealers. ठीक है, standalone is kind of your subsidiary which will be registered as NBFC, and bank primary dealers आपका they generally like bank itself they have certification from the RBI. ठीक है, so standalone dealers are either subsidiaries of scheduled commercial bank, Indian subsidiaries of entities incorporated abroad, or companies incorporated under Companies Act 2013 or any prior one, and are registered as non-banking finance company. The permitted structure of primary dealers business have been expanded to include bank. So what is the requirements? 1000 crores, 9%, and net non-performing asset should be less than 3 years, and bank should be in profit for last 3 years. Okay? So that is the one. These criteria are applicable for all banks, namely like bank which do not present have partly or wholly owned subsidiary for primary dealer business. Indian bank currently undertaking primary dealer business through a partly or wholly owned subsidiary. Then foreign bank also, they can also open these particular one. Undertake PD business departmentally by merging the PD business being undertaken by the group companies. So these are the guidelines. Again, very very important one. I'll give 2 star to this one. ठीक है. So examinations के लिए आपको थोड़ा सा जब रिवाइज करोगे तो याद रहेगा. ठीक है. So prudential norms. What are the prudential norms and regulation and supervisions about the primary dealers? ठीक है. So like if your bank is running primary dealer as a financial service, it can be bank PD or subsidiary. So these are the prudential guidelines. First, the capital adequacy and risk management guidelines will be as part of extant guidelines applicable to bank. For the purpose of assessing the bank capital adequacy requirement and coverage of risk management framework, PD activities should also be taken into account. Government dated securities and treasury bills, PD business will be included for bank SLR if they are notified by RBI as SLR security. The securitized classification, valuation and operation of investment portfolio guidelines as applicable to bank in regard of held for trading portfolio will also apply for the portfolio of government dated securities and treasury bills earmarked for the business of PD. ठीक है. So regulation and supervision, RBI instruct to primary dealers will apply to bank PDs. ठीक है. So जो bank PDs होंगे, so RBI regulation will be applicable in this particular case. A bank have access to call money market, a refinance facility and liquidity adjustment facility LAF of RBI. Bank PD will not have separate access to these facilities and liquidity support available to standalone PDs. ठीक है. RBI will conduct on-site inspections of bank PD business under section 35 of RBI Act. BR Act, sorry. Bank PDs will be required to submit prescribed returns as advised by RBI from time to time. A bank PD should bring RBI attention any major complaint against it or action initiated taking against it by the authorities such as आपका सेबी, आपका CBI, enforcement department, income tax department and all. ठीक है. So RBI will be like handling that particular case, and they can have issue the winding up closures or the under section 38, or RBI can execute their right under section 38 of BR Act 1949. ठीक है. So these are again half marker questions. ठीक है. तो थोड़ा सा इनको भी आप लोग रिवाइज करेंगे बिफोर एंटरिंग इन योर एग्जामिनेशन हॉल. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट वन, which of the following instrument can bank underwrite as a part of para banking activities? So derivative and currency swap, no. क्या है? Which of the following instrument can bank underwrite as a part of para banking activities? Corporate shares, debentures and PSUs, yes. Only government securities, only, not only. Real estate, no. So option B should be right answer for this particular one. Okay? So underwriting of issue of shares, like it is a kind of a merchant banking services provided by these team. Bonds may be taking either departmentally or through other merchant banking subsidiary. Underwriting business undertaken departmentally and through a subsidiary shall be subject to prudential regulation for bank investment. Bank are permitted to extend underwriting activities for corporate shares and debentures and PSUs bonds as part of the parabanking activity. While underwriting issue is like whenever any company come up with their public offer, IPO जब वो आपका वो लेके आते हैं, ठीक है, एज अ पार्ट ऑफ देयर मर्चेंट बैंकिंग एक्टिविटीज, जो हमने मर्चेंट बैंकिंग में काफी डिटेल में पढ़ा भी था, ठीक है. बैंक शुड नॉट एंश्योर द प्रूडेंशियल एक्सपोजर नॉर्म्स, ठीक है, prescribed by RBI from time to time, as well as statutory limit constrained under section 19 subsection 2 and subsection 3 of BR Act 1949 are strictly adhered to. Yeah, so these are the guidelines which as a para banking or as a merchant banking you have to follow them. Okay? Next one, which of the following statement about a bank participation in the insurance business are correct? तो ये हमने इंश्योरेंस सर्विसेज जो हमने लास्ट सेशन में ही आपका डिस्कस किया था. आई होप यू गाइज एबल टू रिकॉल दोस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट. A bank can undertake insurance business with risk participation only through a subsidiary or joint ventures. Yes, आप subsidiary or joint, you cannot directly involve in that particular one in case of India. A bank net non-performing asset must not exceed 3% to be eligible for starting up insurance subsidiary? True. A bank must have minimum net worth of 500 crore. No. Here also it is 1000 crores. 1000 crores आपका even after investing in the equity. No. So आपका this is wrong. A bank can act as an insurance broker departmentally, but the deposit required by IRDA must be maintained with itself. ठीक है? No. See, they can work as a departmentally, but the deposit required by IRDA must be maintained with not itself with other commercial bank. ठीक है? Other commercial bank. ठीक है? So this should be the right answer for this one. This is also wrong. ठीक है? A bank must ensure employee handling, insurance, broking, or agency businesses have the necessary IRDA prescribed qualifications, or that is generally there are some certifications which are generally held by NISM, which are generally directed by IRDA itself, so they are required in this case. Okay? So what we have to find out correct statement 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Okay. A bank 1, 3, 5. We do not have 1, 3, 5 in this case. 1, 2, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 5. 1, 2 and 5. Okay, 1, 2, 5 means option C will be right answer for this particular one. Yes, C is the right answer. So statement 3 was wrong. A bank net worth should be 1000 crore. Okay, not 500 crores. Statement 4 was incorrect. Required must kept the another scheduled commercial bank, not with itself. Okay? So this is again a very important point. The first statement was right, but the another one, the required deposit must kept with another scheduled commercial bank, not with itself. Okay? So please go through these particular one also. They'll also help you out here. Now we will go through the guidelines. So insurance business. So bank they can run this as an insurance business. So no bank shall undertake insurance business with risk participation except through subsidiary or joint ventures set up for the purpose of fulfillment of eligibility criteria 31st March of the previous year. The net worth 1000 crore, we discussed this. Minimum prescribed capital after investment. So this is the one, same thing. Its level of non-performing asset are not more than 3%. It has made a net profit of preceding 3 years. The track record of the performance of its subsidiaries, if any, is satisfactory. B is, so these are, our question was generally based on these particular statement. Undertaking insurance broking corporate agency by a subsidiary or joint venture, no bank shall set up a subsidiary or joint banking company undertaking insurance broker and corporate agency until unless they fulfill the eligibility criteria. So one is net worth not less than C. Now this is the difference. In case of if you are going as a so if you are going as a subsidiary in this particular case, and no bank shall set up subsidiary or joint ventures in this particular one, broking this. So as a corporate agency, if you are going to, so it is आपका 5000 crores after investing in the equity of such company. It comply with the conditions of 2, 3, 4, 2, 3 and 4, and insurance broking services departmentally. That is the next one. Like you can run it as a kind of your own department in that particular situation. Okay? So as per the bank should obtain prior approval of RBI for making strategic investment in venture capital funds, investment equivalent to more than it is more than 10% only. So it is option B should be right answer for this particular one. So in view of significance of venture capital activities and the need for the bank involvement in financing venture capital fund, it is important to address the relatively higher risk inherent in such exposures. As such, bank should obtain a prior approval of RBI for making strategic investment in VCs more than 10%. Okay? So less than 10% not required. We discussed this particular one with our previous question. But if you are expanding more than that, so will be RBI approval will be required. Okay? So all exposure to VCF, venture capital funds, will be deemed to be on par with equity par on par with equity, and hence will be renewed for compliance with the capital market exposure ceiling and equity linked instruments, as well as ceiling for overall capital market exposure decided by SEBI itself. Okay? So quickly we will go through this. So investment in venture capital funds. So various aspects of venture capital funds have been dealt with in this particular one. So in view of the significant venture capital activities need banks involvement financing venture capital funds, it's important to address these one. As is bank obtain prior approval of RBI if they want to increase their limit from more than 10%. All exposure to this that we discussed in our previous session. Okay, so this is the same line which we have read in our previous one. Okay, this is the one, right? Next one. What is the maximum lock-in period for investors availing of check writing facility in money market mutual funds? MMMF means money market mutual funds whose maturity is less than 1 year. Okay. So it is check writing facility is available for how many days? It is for 15 days. Okay. So investor can avail a check writing facility only after a minimum lock-in period of 15 days in money market mutual funds. However, this lock-in period does not apply to gilt as the gilt funds means government securities and liquid income schemes which are governed by SEBI regulations. Okay? So money market mutual funds come under the preview of SEBI regulation. However, bank desirous of setting up money market mutual funds would have to or initially seek necessary clearance from RBI for undertaking this additional activity before approaching to RBI for registration. Okay? Regulatory compliances basically. An infrastructure debt fund, a non-banking finance company, can sponsored by a bank only if contribution is at least it is 30%. Again, it is 30% or it is 30%. Okay, so it is 30%. A bank contributing less than 30% of equity of IDF will not be sponsored. Again, IDF are investment vehicles for channelizing investment into the infrastructure sector. They are sponsored by commercial bank and NBFCs in India, in which domestic and offshore institutional investors, especially insurance and pension funds, can invest to units and bond issued by the IDFs. Okay? Next one. This is a very important one. Okay. So when SEBI proposed safety net scheme for IPO, so many times I saw this particular question. Okay. So safety net scheme. So what is safety net scheme? It is like during 2008 to 10, that was a period कि there was number of IPOs, almost like 112 IPOs, ठीक है, जो list हुए, and after listing their share prices something this. ठीक है, जैसे let's say there is a company who listed at 500 rupees, then after like within 3 months or within 2 months they came to 100 rupees. ठीक है, this is also known as an IPO scam. ठीक है, that duration is generally known as IPO scam. बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम हुआ था, एसबा का इंट्रोडक्शन वहीं से हुआ था. ठीक है, तो द केस इज कि हमने एक कंपनी लिस्ट किया, लिस्ट करने के बाद आपका एकदम से नीचे आ गया प्राइसेस. ठीक है, तो इसमें जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स है उनका बहुत ज्यादा नुकसान होता था क्योंकि मैक्सिमम पार्टिसिपेशन वहीं से होता है. सो व्हाट सेबी डिड इन व्हाट सेबी प्रपोज इन 2012 वन स्कीम दैट इज कॉल्ड सेफ्टी नेट स्कीम, जहां पे सेबी ने क्या बोला आपका कि if any company coming with IPO after listing, ठीक है, they'll give time 60 days 6 month आपका. ठीक है, so they are giving time to investors कि अगर 6 महीने के अंदर भी अगर उनके शेयर्स इफ दे वांट टू सेल बैक, जैसे हमने एक इन्वेस्टर है आपका ए हु इन्वेस्टेड 2 लाख रुपीस, ठीक है, इन दिस आईपीओ एट 500. अब कल के डेट में अगर ये 100 पे आता है 3 महीने के अंदर, तो इन्वेस्टर को राइट दिया जाए कि वो 500 रुपए पे क्या करवाए, कंपनी को फोर्स करे बाय बैक करने के लिए. बट इट वाज नॉट गेट इम्प्लीमेंटेड. ठीक है, आज के डेट में देयर आर सम कंपनीज who do apply this particular thing. जब वो merchant banking underwriting में होते हैं, they provide these kind of things to the investors to win the trust of the investor, but it is not like kind of a mandatory or universal rule. ठीक है, very interesting. So net safety is a scheme where a company's promoter assure that they will buy back shares from the retail investor of IPO price if the stock fall during the first 6 months of the listing. It was proposed by SEBI in 2012 SEBI had formulated draft norms for safety net after the study shows 62% of 172 companies listed during this period their prices fell down. ठीक है, मतलब 117 में से 62% कंपनीज ऐसी थी जिसके प्राइसेस लिस्ट हुआ उसके बाद धड़ाम से नीचे गिरे. ठीक है, तो इन्वेस्टर्स को एक मौका दिया जाए कि वो चाहे तो उनका पैसा अपना पैसा वापस ले सकते हैं जो प्राइस पे उन्होंने आपका लिस्ट किया था वो. ठीक है, so SEBI however could not make it mandatory after the proposal, the first of the kind anywhere in the world, met with objection from the market players. RBI had observed that some bank or their subsidiaries were providing buyback facilities under safety net scheme in respect of certain public issue as part of their merchant banking activities. ठीक है, so this is the one very interesting one. I hope you found this particular one interesting. Same story is also here also. Okay, so with your references I have kept this one. Next one. Okay, this is it. So guys, this is all about your para banking and financial services offered by the bank itself. Okay, so half marks to 1 marks questions you can expect from this particular unit. और जो required content है आपका in detail that we have discussed in this particular session. I hope you found this particular session useful. Okay. So this is my Telegram group, so you can connect me over there. And if you need any help regarding your JIB preparations, ठीक है, so पढ़ते रहिए बढ़ते रहिए बढ़िया से. And if you need any further assistance and all, ठीक है, those who are watching on app, they can send me your queries through chat, or I have shared my number also. You can text me on WhatsApp. So I'll try my best और बढ़िया से एकदम मन लगा के पढ़ना है. ठीक है, थोड़ा थोड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन करना और एग्जाम निकालना है. 5000 इंक्रीमेंट पर मंथ सोचो जरा. ठीक है, उसको थोड़ा सा लेके अपने एफर्ट्स बढ़ाइए और कोई भी हेल्प की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है तो उसके लिए आप मुझे अप्रोच कीजिए. सो दिस इज इट फ्रॉम माय साइड गाइस. थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग दिस सेशन. थैंक यू फॉर वाचिंग दिस सेशन. बाय बाय. टेक केयर ऑल. हैव अ नाइस डे. थैंक यू.